can you see yourself getting excited about running this company? Because when you're getting this thing going, you're gonna have to be the magic. And then you want it to pass through these two filters. So if you can't see that happening with an idea, if it doesn't make it through these two gates, then you're not gonna wanna move forward with this business. Now, let me share with you a method that I use for evaluating any potential opportunity. It's something I call the in and out recipe, and it has nothing to do with hamburgers or cheeseburgers. This is actually a framework that I rely on every single time I'm considering whether to start something new or if somebody else brings me an idea. So think of it as a series of gates or filters that an idea has to pass through before we ever give it serious attention, before we move from interested to committed. So the first gate is my Ikigai filter, right? We've talked about it a lot, but this is like alignment with who I am, with what drives me and what I love to do. So I ask myself a few key questions right out of the gate. First, do I like the idea of running this business, or would I actually love it? And this is critical because in business, there's a big difference between liking it and loving it. If I don't see myself loving the process of running, growing, scaling this company, then it's pretty much a hard stop. Passion fuels energy, resilience, and creativity, and I think that's essential in business. So if I can't see myself truly loving it, I just disregard the idea almost immediately. Saying no is important, and I've gotten pickier as my net worth has gone up. So for you, I want you to be a little picky here, but if you're totally new to this, then I don't want you to be so picky that you never get off of first base. Next, I ask myself, could I see myself being good at this? Or maybe even great at this? I think it's important to be honest here, and we're going to assess if this is something that we could, excel at. If I don't believe that I truly be capable of delivering a ton of value, then it's not worth pursuing. And then finally, I ask, does the world need this, or is the world starving for this? And this is the test for demand. I want to know that this business wouldn't just be a nice to have, but something that the market is hungry for. If I can't see a strong demand or need for it, then I'm gonna stop right there. So to pass this first gate, this Ikigai filter, a business has to score high on love, skill, and need. And in practice, if I'm looking at 100 business ideas, opportunities, maybe only 10 are gonna pass through this Ikigai gate and come out the other side. And then we're on to the resource filter. So once a business has passed through my Ikigai filter, it has to get through the second gate, the resource filter. So this is where I'm gonna look at what the business will require from me in terms of time and money, and then what it's likely to give me back in terms of time and money. I start by asking myself, how much money am I gonna need to put into this business to get it going? Am I gonna have to put a large sum up front, or maybe I can spread the investment out over time, over months or years? Or can I cash flow it? Meaning, can I fund it with operational revenue over the next 1 or 2 years rather than putting in a large lump sum? Then you're gonna wanna look at the flip side. How much money are you likely to get out? What's the potential return on this investment? And does that justify the resources that I'm putting in? So if the expected return doesn't outweigh the cost, then the idea doesn't make it through this filter. And then we have to focus on time. So is this something that's gonna require me to sprint constantly? Or can I envision myself establishing a good pace over time and settling into a rhythm that's sustainable? But eventually I want a business that's gonna let me take a step back and enjoy some freedom from that business. And for me personally, I don't start anything today that I don't have someone else running 100% the day-to-day operations. I want to work on the business instead of in the business. But for you, I think the key here is, can you see yourself getting excited about running this company? Because when you're getting this thing going, you're gonna have to be the magic. And then you want it to pass through these two filters. So if you can't see that happening with an idea, if it doesn't make it through these two gates, then you're not gonna wanna move forward with this business. All right, let's dive into the Project 100 exercise in the workbook. We're gonna look at a list of 100 different business, real estate, and IP ideas. And we've broken these ideas down into 12 different categories. So here's a list I have in front of me, but this is gonna give us a whole new range of options. So here's how I want you to approach this exercise. First, we're going to apply our Ikigai filter to these ideas. So we're gonna go through each item and we're gonna ask ourselves some key questions like, Do I like the idea of running a company like this, of creating an asset like this, or maybe would I love it? That's going to be a hard stop if no, right? And then we're going to ask ourselves, could I see myself being good at this, or could I be great at this? And then we're going to ask ourselves the question, does the world need this? Do I believe the world could use this? Or maybe is the world starving for this? And so if that doesn't pass, if these businesses don't pass that initial Ikigai filter, then it's out. So as we go through this list, you might come across certain items like real estate, right? And I look at real estate as a broad category, and I love the whole idea of real estate. I love, for example, residential rental properties or vacation, Airbnb, VRBO. I love commercial real estate. So I've circled a few of these. These things really grab me because of their income potential and just my ability to be creative, to use my Ikigai, which is creating new ideas, bringing new things to life. I can definitely apply them here. And I personally love to travel, right? I think one of the best parts about life is just experiencing the world with people you love. So I know that I could be good at these things. So go through the list, circle individual business or asset ideas, or even the entire category if you like. The first step is simply about identifying what excites you, what feels right, and what aligns with your Ikigai. And then once we've completed the Ikigai filter, we're gonna move on to the resource filter. So this is where we're gonna think a little bit more critically. So out of the ideas that you've circled, start evaluating each one in terms of resources, so time and money. And so as you go through this, I really want you to remember, you're probably gonna boil this down to maybe 3 different ideas. And then I don't even want you thinking about starting 3 businesses at once. You're gonna really have to circle one main idea that you're gonna actually take a step and take action on. You're going to have to let the cream rise to the top here. So you're gonna find one that resonates with you the most, the one that you feel drawn to pursue. This is the one that you're gonna be thinking about, planning around, even praying about. So go through this process thoughtfully. We're trying to find one asset that aligns with our strengths, our interests, and our resources. So take your time and really let the cream rise to the top.